Hey YouTube, what is going on? It's EK here, and today we are going to be reviewing Mortal Kombat, the 2021 new release movie. And I am going to be talking about spoilers. We're going to talk about the story, the characters. So if you haven't watched this yet, please go watch it. So just like off the bat, I can tell you this: if you're a fan of Mortal Kombat, and if you like crazy fighting movies and like all this stuff, then I highly recommend you go watch this movie. Okay, but if you don't want to hear the spoilers, you don't want to know what goes on in the story, and you don't want to hear about other stuff that I'm going to talk about, then I suggest just go watch it. So you should stop this video and go maybe look into another review. Just go to Rotten Tomatoes or something. Anyways, so in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, spoiler time. All right, so the movie. Well, what can I say is that, there's been a long history of pretty much, there's never been a video game movie that's been made well. And so far, that's still pretty true. So unfortunately, this Mortal Kombat 2021 did not come through in terms of being a good video game movie. It's not bad. I think the original in 95, I believe, is still better. However, this is still better than Annihilation. And yeah, so I'm sorry, but for me, it was just the overall, like, I think the fight scenes are great. There's real super well choreographed. It's bloody. They use one of Kung Lao's signature fatalities, where he like basically uses his hat like a little table saw and like just like and saw someone in half. It's crazy, like down lengthwise. So it's crazy bloody, and arguably it's definitely. When it comes to the fighting, all of that, it's definitely true to the Mortal Kombat nature. The story itself and the acting and the overall dialogue of the movie is just not done well. And I don't know, and I don't blame any of the actors. You have an amazing list of actors here. I think it's really the writers and the director that really screwed it up, to be honest. Like, first off, the storyline. It's like the editing and like how they tell the story. It's extremely extremely fast. It's like and it just kind of like dances straight to everything. It pretty much already assumes the audience knows what's going on and knows what's happening, and which doesn't really make sense because the whole point of this movie was to set up the universe, was to set up the background of the characters. Because in this Mortal Kombat movie, the tournament actually doesn't even take place yet. It's like right before the tournament. And so the story is basically that, like the majority of the Mortal Kombat series in the first movie, Outworld has won 9 tournaments. And if they win the 10th one, they get to take over Earthrealm, right? So, so now Raiden is gathering all his fighters in order to beat the Shang Tsung's, all his warriors in the 10th tournament. However, Shang Tsung is like, screw this, I'm not going to play fair. I'm going to send my warriors out there and assassinate like pretty much all their warriors, so that by the time the tournament even comes, they're left with like the worst of the worst, and we just kill them. We just destroy them. And and for some reason, the Elder Gods don't give a crap. Like, I don't see how, like, among all this, like, they can't just go to the, like, is there no one policing this world that, and why doesn't Raiden, like, when he sees it, it's like, I'm going to go to the Elder Gods right now and say something, and then get you in trouble, freaking Shang Tsung. Like, I don't know why no one does that. There's a lot of loopholes, a lot of things that just, like, makes no sense in this. And, like, yeah, the story is just, like, it's so abrupt. Like, okay, in the beginning, they spend, like, the first 7 minutes was, not leaked, but, like, they released it, earlier in the week before the movie came out, and when I first saw the first 7 minutes, I was like, okay, this looks freaking brilliant. Like how they develop Scorpion and like kind of Sub-Zero's characters. Like, I'm like, this is so cool. Like, just to see them in this like kind of era, and and they hate it, but like, and the rivals, but they don't ever really say why. They don't like go into the depths of like why these two clans they hate each other. Like, why are they rivals? Like, like, and the thing is, like, like the Lin Kuei is a Chinese ninja clan, the Shiro Ryu is a Japanese ninja slash samurai clan. It's like, okay, they're on two different, like, one's on another different continent, basically. Why do they go against each other? What's the deal with them? Like, why do they always constantly fight against one another and all that jazz? Like, they don't really go into that. Even though Joe Taslim is great in this in the beginning, in the rest of the movie, he's just not really well utilized, and that's really sad. And also, you only see Scorpion, like Hiroyuki Sanada, in the first 7 minutes and like the last 7 minutes. That's it. And like there's no more Scorpion aside from that. I'm like, dude, there could have been tons more Scorpion here going on. Like, what's the deal, And I think let's see, and then going into like the real actual story itself, we eventually do find out that yes, Cole is like the part of the Hasashi bloodline, so like he is a descendant of Scorpion, and so he is like a chosen warrior, that's also why they all have those dragon like markings, and apparently those dragon markings can be transferred to other people. So if you beat someone, a warrior, with that marking, that now you're going to be marked with that dragon marking, and you're essentially a chosen warrior for the tournament, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense in a lot of ways, because it's like what if you're chosen but you decide to become an accountant? You're not even a warrior at that point, or like are you just destined to be a martial artist or destined to be a warrior if you have one of those suckers on you? Like, what is the deal with that? That is totally not in the video games. There's no such thing. There's no thing about like a dragon marking. And also like some of those more funny things is like, the shape is a perfect circle, and it clearly looks like, and like, in the middle is clearly a dragon, and people just and like Cole and his daughter just accept that it's a birthmark. I'm like, what kind of crazy birthmark is that accurate? Like, to look exactly like perfect circle and a dragon. Like, what kind of birthmarks do you see all the time that are just that like accurate, or like just that perfect, right? Like, it's like, I'm like, okay, so you just assume it's a birthmark. Like, okay, like that whatever, we'll just go with that. And then like all the other characters in general, I would say like everyone kind of falls a little flat except for Kano. Kano is by far the best character in this whole video. I mean, this whole movie. Like, he is funny, he is lively, he has like some of the best one-liners. Like, he's a dick, like you love to hate him type of situation. And the only person next below that is Joe Taslim, but it's only of Joe Taslim in the first 7 minutes, because that's when he really does like some of the best lines and the best acting in the movie. The rest of it, he's just behind a mask. I think the introduction of Cole Young is absolutely unnecessary. It made there's really no reason for him to be there. Like, and even his character himself is not that interesting. Like, if he were to be put into Mortal Kombat as a character right now, like in Mortal NK11, I believe, is the most recent game, like, no one would really use him. He's not really interesting. Like, his Akana, or like the idea of like a power that you have in this world, is some kind of woven armor that goes all over him, and I guess it collects kinetic energy, almost like as if it's the Black Panther suit, where he turns like kind of like light purple, and then he could re-release the energy. It's almost like that kind of concept, and I'm just like, steal much, And then he also has is able to make two weapons. One is like a billy club stick baton, and the other one is also like a baton, except that it's a blade. So one blocks, one cuts. And while those are kind of cool and all, like, that's kind of like a weird power, Like, you have Liu Kang who can throw fireballs and you make armor. But that's not to mention what Jax is. So, when he loses his arms, the monks somehow have the technology to give him prosthetic arms, but they're like really weak, like robotic arms. But when he unlocks his inner power, somehow all that metal like starts going Iron Man on him, and like all these parts start coming out, and he gets like super arms. And I'm just like, so his power is mechanical arms? Like, what's the deal? Like, what the hell would his powers be if he never loses arms? You know, like that part. Like when it happened, I was just like, so his Akana power is Iron Man? Like, what's the deal here? Like, and why is it just arms? Why is he covered in his entire body like an Iron Man suit? Like, why does it stop there? But maybe, like, I guess, like, some people are assuming, like, oh, you know, he can shoot rockets and, like, do other stuff. Like, and I'm like, what is he, cyborg at this point? Like, you know, like, he can turn his arm into, like, other weapons. And I'm like, oh, like, that part, like, just kind of, like, threw me away. Anyways, back to Cole. Like, his character is just not, is not there. Like, it's just unnecessary. He just should have been Johnny Cage. You know, he could have just been Johnny Cage, who, you know, like, is down and out. He was a huge action star, and now he's like, you know, he's essentially like, you know, in debt. There's people collecting, you know, trying to collect money from him and all this crap, and then he goes and, you know, goes to the tournament in order to reprove himself. Basically, his story all along from every other movie. Or every other game. So, like, that just could have been him. Colt, like, Louis Tan just could have been that. But why the director went with the route of introducing a whole new character is just, like, I feel like it's just super unnecessary. And I think it's, like, I feel like they only thought about the characters after they wrote the story instead of building the story around the characters. They're like, all right, we're going to have this story talk about Hanzo Asashi, and how, you know, there's going to be a prophecy about how his bloodline is going to basically save the Earth realm. So we're just going to throw that in there. And now we need a character to be of his descendant, but not Hanzo himself. So it's like, now we throw in Louis Tan and whole Cole Young situation, which makes absolutely no sense. And you try to throw him into this world that, like, he's just an unnecessary character, you know? And arguably it steals too much limelight from everybody else, you know. I think Sonya could have been a lot more interesting. You know, the actress that plays her is great. I think Jax could have used more screen time. The people that really got done dirty, I would say, is like Ludi Lin and Max Huang. You know, like the people who play Liu Kang and Kung Lao. Those are like two of the best characters. And they get barely any kind of story like attached to them. There's no reason, like there's nothing to really talk to them about. And again, like, you know, it's made in a way that, like, oh, we already assume we know who they are. You know, like Liu Kang, like the moment he shows up, like he seems interesting, and Kung Lao seems very interesting, obviously, but, like, you don't know why they're bonding. Like, what, like, how come, like, they're the first ones to go hang out or go to be with Raiden? You know, why are they so invested into this tournament? There's no character development for any of them. Like, it's just, like, no backdrop. And the movie could have been at least, like, 20, 30 minutes longer if they cut it differently and added those little bits, like, you know. And then, like, maybe I have to rewatch this part, like, I think at one point Liu Kang said he was like an orphan, or like he was founded by the Temple of Light, the Shaolin monks, but then he calls Kung Lao his cousin. Okay, maybe I have to rewatch that part, but like I was just like, wait, so are you family or are you not? Like, what is going on here? And and then like there's like this whole part, and like there's a whole other scene like where there's like all these like kind of like rabbit holes or loopholes or like, you know, or inconsistencies. Like, you know, there's this temple, like Raiden's temple, where all the warriors go to train, and Raiden's like, okay, like, you know, we like, you can train here safely, and Shang Tsung won't be able to, like, you know, he won't be able to find you here. Literally 5 minutes later, Sub-Zero's at the door. You know, it's like, hey, look, I'm here. And like, and arguably, like, Shang Tsung is just like able to just like teleport in there with this black smoke thing, like out, like in and out at will. And I'm like if this is still here, like, why doesn't freaking Shang Tsung just, like, instead of bringing him 5 warriors, why didn't he bring an army with him? You know, just bring an army of Tarkatans with him so that he can just destroy the place. Like, this makes no sense, like, why he just chooses, like, 4 or 5 people every single time. And then on top of that, like, Raiden clearly has a lot of power. And he can, you know, and he can also clearly teleport people at will anywhere in the world, wherever they want. And when all of Shang Tsung's, like, you know, warriors show up, he could easily just teleport them away. Like okay, I'm just gonna teleport you like 10 feet in the air, like 30, like 100 feet in the air, let you drop to your death. You know, teleport you into like the freaking space so that you just choke and die automatically. He could like teleport everyone away like almost immediately, but he doesn't. And he always keeps saying like, well, I'm a god, I'm not supposed to interfere. I'm like, Shang Tsung is interfering all the damn time. Like, you just need to protect your guys. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, I just, like, this is like, I'm like, this is the laziest thunder god on the planet. Like, you know, like, what is going on here? Other things that, like, I feel like they just could have done better. Like, there had to have been more, like, you know, more Scorpion time. How he comes back is absolutely ridiculous. Like, Scorpion basically, you know, he finds himself in hell, and instead of like burning in hell, he learns to, like, I guess, like, you know, navigate it or some crap. But the only way he comes back is when Cole bleeds into the dagger, which is not even a dagger, it's a gardening tool. Okay, like, if you watch the beginning, it's a freaking gardening tool. I guess maybe it is a dagger, but it doesn't look sharp. Okay, and when he bleeds into it, that somehow triggers Hanzo to come back, which I feel like that's such a missed opportunity. Like, he should have been back the whole time. Like, he should have been like something like in the shadows, watching over Cole the whole time. Like, and then Cole, like, you know, thinks he's an enemy at first. He's like, who's that dude that's just like always watching me? Like, I feel like something's like, or I feel like someone's following me all the time. You know, people think he's paranoid, but it's actually Hanzo that's constantly like trying to follow him or something. And maybe the audience is made to believe it's Sub-Zero sometimes too. But, you know, maybe at the end it reveals that, it's, you know, it's Scorpion. Oh crap, like, you know. And even when, like, you know, some people try to attack Cole, Scorpion takes care of him for him, just in case or something. You know, there could have been so much more dynamic to how Scorpion could have played into the story itself. And then I think there's also a bunch of like random characters, like who's like General Reiko. I don't know who the crap that is. And like maybe I guess there were some characters that were introduced maybe in later games, like that I probably never played, like Annihilate, like Judgment Day or Armageddon and whatever. And so like there's like this general who uses like a hammer, this like bat lady who just gets killed. Like, I'm like, who are these people? Like, they're just cannon fodder. And I guess it's probably good, like, these people get killed first, then, like, you know, maybe in the next movie they actually bring in the fun characters. But these, like, people were just like, I don't even care about them, which I guess, you know, that's the point. Like, they're just basically there to die. They killed off Goro way too early. Like, come on, it's like Goro. Goro is like an iconic character, and you're gonna kill him off within the first movie. And that also goes with Kung Lao. Like, killing off Kung Lao in the first movie, I'm like, are you kidding me? This guy is super dope. You know, he has his whole fatality scene, and that's it. Like, and then he gets his soul sucked out by Shang Tsung, which is absolutely bullcrap. I'm like, that's it? Like, you know, that's all you're gonna give me for this one character? They also kill off Kano. You know, he dies too, and you know he dies. He can't come back because his mark goes to Sonya. So now Sonya's a chosen warrior. So I'm like this. A lot of this makes like absolutely no sense, and I don't know if this movie makes enough for a sequel. God, I hope they hire a different writer and a different director, okay? Because especially the writer. I think I was watching Angry Joe, and basically the writer for this is the same person that wrote for Wonder Woman 1984, and we all know how crappy that movie was. So no wonder this was bad too. And it's like, you would think he'd be able to redeem himself, but no, not at all. I mean, but overall, I mean, the movie, it's like, I watched it on HBO Max. I almost went to the theaters to watch it. Thank God I didn't. Thank God I stayed home and watched it just at home, because it's definitely not worth going to the theaters for. Just watch it on HBO Max. If you want to go watch it in the theaters, go do it like at matinee, the first showing, so that you pay cheaper tickets. I mean, it's still worth a watch because the fight scenes are incredible, and just being able to see like Sub-Zero and like all of them fight, it's still dope. Like those are still really good. And again, Joe Taslim is like is the best Sub-Zero. Like he is like from now on, he should be he just Sub-Zero all the damn time. Obviously, in the next one, since he dies too, he'll be Noob Saibot. So whoever plays his brother, I'm curious who will play his brother, Kuai Lang. So it'll be actually kind of dope if they bring someone else from the raid, But then again, you need someone who speaks Chinese, like Joe Taslim. He's a Chinese man. He's really, and like he speaks Chinese in the movie, so you can't just have like some random person. Like I hope they don't just like, oh yeah, Asian person, yeah, well, come on in. As long as you look the part, we don't care what you speak. I mean, that's not a huge deal. Like maybe they just, maybe they can't just cast a good actor and just teach him a few lines of Mandarin. That's cool too. But it has to also be like some guy that's like, a martial artist, take over the mantle of Sub-Zero. And I hope they bring in more people like Smoke, Rain, Ermac, and there's like a whole lot of, and also at the end of the movie, they're clearly gonna go into Johnny Cage, and then bring in a few more other like characters, maybe, I don't know. But I'm guessing in Mortal Kombat 2, the next movie, if it ever comes out, it's gonna be more about the actual tournament, I'm guessing. So we'll see actually how that goes. But overall, like I would say this movie at best is a 6.5, 6 out of 10, 6 out of 10, because like I give it at least 5 points for the awesome action scenes, and then another point for great costumes. But then everything else, the story fails, the dialogue fails, and the characters, like they fail only not because of the actors. I think all the actors are great. It's just the directing and the writing that's just terrible. At the end of the day, like how well an actor performs and what goes into it, it's up to the director. The director, his job is to make the words and the characters come alive, and depending on how well the actors do, or like what they do, it's really up to the at the end of the day, it's up to the director to be like, yes, print it or cut or let's do it again. And if he's saying print on all these scenes that are clearly terrible, I mean, what else can I say? Like it's not good. So, anyways, that's just my opinion of this movie. I still recommend everyone go watch it. It's still fun. It's a lot, and it's really for like more like Mortal Kombat fans. If you have never played or even know about Mortal Kombat, you're probably gonna come here and be like, "The hell's the point of this movie?" So, sadly, that's just it. If you really want a really good Mortal Kombat story, instead, I recommend you just go to YouTube and watch the Mortal Kombat 9, 10, and 11 like movie gameplay. Like, so a lot of a few YouTubers like Gamers Playground, and they basically make game movies where they play the game, but they cut out all like of the in betweens. Like all like the little stuff, like all the like. So they'll play like Mortal Kombat, cut out put in like maybe minimal fighting scenes, and then the fighting actual like playtime, and then cut together all the cutscenes, and cut together all the dialogue, so you can watch it almost like a movie. And the story is great. Like one thing that NetherRealm has done really great with the movie, I mean with the video games, is that it has an incredible story. So if you want an incredible story in Mortal Kombat, go watch those, not this movie. If you just want to watch some people, like, maybe you played Mortal Kombat as a kid and you just want to see your characters in real life, like kicking each other's butt and seeing a lot of fatalities, this is what the movie gives you. So overall, it's worth the watch, but don't expect too much out of it. All right, guys. So thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate it. Please give this video a like if you agree. Give it a like if you don't agree. Comment below why you agree or disagree. And stay tuned for more videos in the future, all right? Take it easy, folks.